All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to Girls Got Game on Spirit Live. Happy Wednesday. Before we get started, we just want to give a big shout out to the women's Rams teams here at Ryerson. The women's basketball doing a great job. I think they actually have a game today in Ottawa.
Oh yes, that's the 4-on-4
Nationals.
basically. That's what they did last year. What did they call it last year? The Final Four?
Yeah.
Remember they did the Final Four kind
It's
of
like
thing?
nationals, yeah.
They lost pretty bad on the weekend, but
Yeah.
But it's
still
okay.
fun to watch.
They
We
made it
fought
far.
hard.
Yeah,
I
they
think all the games were really, really good.
yeah. Plus, hockey went to 2 overtimes. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
they,
disappointing.
yeah,
They
but
deserve to win too.
they went till the end, and they're really strong teams in the OUA. So you know they deserve a shout outs and
Yeah.
support.
Erica Kraus for Ryerson actually won. She's one of the All-Stars. I guess how the OUA does it is they call it the first team All-Stars. So there was someone from Waterloo, Ontario Tech, Toronto, York Brock, and Ryerson. So Erica Kraus won that, which is awesome to see her win something. She's a really good player.
She was Rookie of the Year last year too.
True.
And yeah, she's been on fire this season. She had a slower start after Christmas break, but I think she's definitely an
She's
amazing asset
solid.
for the Rams.
Yeah. Well, speaking of women in sports,
Yeah, let's get right into it.
Next Sunday, March 8th, is International Women's Day, so we thought it would be cool to hear about some brands that are supporting women in sport and just women in general. So I think one that probably all of us have seen before and think of when you think of supporting women in sport is Nike, Adidas, Under Armour. All of those brands are really involved in that.
Yeah.
Whether that's just for good press, I don't know.
That's what we should talk about.
I
love that controversial part of it where
Honestly.
it's like, you love to see these female campaigns and everything, but then in the back of your mind, you're always wondering, like, are they really doing this for the right reasons? Is this really, like, their intention going into it? Or are they just trying to, like, better their image by saying, oh, we support women in sports and stuff like that? And I think you can definitely take that side, but one thing I was really impressed with, especially with the Nike campaigns, like the Dream Crazier, because I think it's a known fact that like girls are always called crazy. Like for girls, sometimes it's a fear. They're like, oh no, they're gonna think I'm crazy. Like crazy is just a key word that I feel like always comes up when you're describing a woman's mentality.
Yep.
But I think Nike really took advantage of that and made it into a
Sarcastic,
positive thing.
yeah.
Yeah, like dream, like we are crazy. Like embrace it.
And I know we played that one last season on
Last
the show.
semester, yeah.
But I don't know. That one, all of those are just so powerful. All of those like Nike and Adidas style commercials where they're kind of like a movie almost. Like they're not honestly, they're not so much promoting the brand itself or like an article of clothing from Nike. They're more promoting like the stories of the athletes, which
Like
is really
the
good.
ideology of like,
Yeah.
hey, we support this.
And then obviously as a viewer, you go like, oh, Nike supports them. I'll buy their stuff. But they're not like showing off their stuff really. It's more so about them.
one thing
girls.
it like reminded me of was the Colin Kaepernick campaign, like how he was kind of like their spokesperson for a little while, and I think he like still does work with them and everything, but that it reminded me of that, where in a way they're kind of hopping on a little bit of a bandwagon, but they're also making a statement, which I respect.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think brands would ever do anything to or promote anything that wouldn't make them look good, because that's just, there's no point for them to do that. So obviously they have the intention that we will do this campaign, we'll make this commercials, and they will make us look good, and people will associate us with a good promotion. I don't think they would promote something that people are not interested in and that people don't care about. Obviously, people care about females in sports. They care about strong women. So Nike helped promote that even further and show off these amazing female athletes, which benefits both the athletes and Nike.
I think for them it's hard not to as well, because they are a sponsor of probably one of the most strongest female athletes in the world, Serena Williams.
Yeah.
And like you can't not do something with that.
Yeah. I just hope that they're actually putting money behind the athletes, not just paying them for the commercial, but also, paying to help them out in their career. That's what I meant by that. But yeah, no, they're definitely still doing awesome stuff. And I was surprised. I watched one yesterday. I'll be honest, a lot of those like Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, a lot of those commercials are pretty similar.
They're kind of cliche.
Yeah,
In a
where they
way.
try and find like one really like hot take sentence that they can end with, like the dream crazier one, and then they just get a bunch of shots of like female athletes doing cool
Sweating,
stuff,
putting
you
in
know.
work, yeah.
So they're all kind of the same, but there was one I saw that wasn't that bad, and all the comments were like going off about like, oh, this is just another copycat and blah blah blah. But I think it was Adidas, which I was surprised at because I feel like they're one of the first brands that started doing that. But I know Adidas more so than Nike has done a lot of stuff to support women in sport, so that's pretty good. Yeah.
For sure. And I mean, I feel like we all know about like the huge brands, and we see their commercials and how they support female sports, and not just female sports, like sports in general. But I want to like outline a few brands that are not as popular and maybe not as well known, but that also do really good things for female sports. For example, Orvis was a brand that really stood out for me because not many people know of it, because they make fly rods and reels and fishing gear.
Yeah,
which
I had
is-
no idea who they were.
But they are actually introducing more women to the sport of fly fishing, and they aim to create more opportunities for women to cast a line, as they say, and hook impressive fish and make the catch of a lifetime.
So I love all the puns in that sentence.
Yeah, all the puns all in one. But they're really they want women to get more into fishing and into those types of sports, because I feel like whenever you think of fishing, it's kind of a guy thing.
Oh, totally.
It's almost like you don't even realize it, though. Like, I never realized
Yeah.
I thought of fishing as a men's thing.
Well, I think that's awesome too that they're like, obviously they're a really small company because none of us knew about them.
Yeah, but
But also it's a small sport, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's really important that smaller companies are also, and smaller sport organizations are also doing stuff to get women involved. Because can you imagine, like, as a girl going into hockey, I feel like that's still difficult, but it's a lot easier because there are, you know, a lot of opportunities. But going into fly fishing, I don't think they have a, I don't know, women's league. I don't know how fly fishing works, but it's probably even harder when it's such a niche sport. Do you know what I'm saying?
There was a league for fishing. I'm not gonna lie.
Is
Me
there
neither.
a league for fishing?
Who knows?
If you know, please hit us up.
I actually don't know if there's league. I know like
I know my
sport-
uncle watches
Yeah.
on TV.
Yeah,
Like,
like, it
yeah, sometimes I'll go over to
exists.
their house and he's watching fishing, and it's
Broadcast
very
fishing.
it's very
I did not know
suspenseful.
that.
Yeah,
Me
but
neither.
But
It's like,
how do you
are they
win?
gonna
are they gonna
a
catch
fish?
it? Yeah,
Drew, how do they win? Do they catch the biggest fish?
could be.
I
So
love this. I
How
love
does the
niche
show?
sports.
How does that work? You know how baseball like could go on for like 8 hours or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, when does
fishing.
it end?
You can't control the fish.
I don't know. I've never watched it for long enough. So
What if they
we
just
gotta
sit
do our
there for like
research.
8 hours
right?
and they just catch nothing? Like, what if there's just no fish?
then maybe they put fish in there. I don't know. I
We're
digress.
really diving
Don't
deep.
know.
into
I
this.
digress.
But yeah, I don't know. This company this brand really stood out for me. And another thing I wanted to outline about them that really stood out was 50% of the revenue they get from the gear that they sell, they donate 50% of that to create more fishing courses for women specifically. So that is pretty cool, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
I like
Yeah.
that. We need more companies like that.
Yeah.
Maybe I should start fly fishing. Apparently, it's really hard.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, not surprised at all.
Another one is Burton.
Yeah, Burton is also like, I wouldn't say like more well known than Orvis, but also not like very popular. So they support snowboarding, and they have programs like Burton's Women's Learn to Ride Camp for riders of all abilities, and I think that's great. It's specifically, they support this program, and it's for women, meant for women to get more into snowboarding, and they donate finances to specifically to this program.
Yeah.
So 40% of women represent Burton, and which is really cool because snowboarding is male dominant, I would say, in a way.
I'd also say Burton, they do a lot of like one-day events for females. Like they'll have a women's ride day, or they'll have like a kids ride day and stuff. So they do a lot of like singular events. And I know they are obviously like pretty much located in the U.S., but I think we were talking about it last week, Natasha, with Emma, who, by the way, is not here today because she's sick.
Yeah, shout out to Emma. We miss you.
Hopefully she's listening in bed. Last week we were talking about how Burton does like the qualifiers, and they go around like Southern Ontario and stuff. So they do a lot of like single day rides just for women, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Honestly, for me, when I think of snowboarding, I think of snowboarding almost as one of like quite an equal
Yeah, me
sport,
too.
because one thing I notice is that when I watch snowboarding at the Olympics, the commentators are female a lot of the time.
Yeah.
That was just one thing I noticed that was really awesome.
I never really thought about that, but now that you mention it, like
the commentators being
Yeah.
like I recognize that, and like I remember them being female most of the time.
Yeah. I remember I was watching one event, I think it was a CBC, not like a documentary, but they had posted like a 15-minute video about the Canadian athletes, and the way it bugged me so much because the commentator that was analyzing the male runs was super in depth, and he was like counting all the rotations and everything like that. And then the female one went, I think it was a different announcer, but the female announcer was like, sorry, the announcer that was announcing the females, it was a male. But he was like, wow, look at that air she just got. Like, that's so impressive. And he wasn't actually like going into it and analyzing
he wasn't describing it as much.
He was just acting, I don't know, cool. That was great. Good job. Instead of like, holy crap, I can't believe he did a 1,000-degree rotation, which was strange because I feel like usually they're pretty equal, and especially CBC I feel like has really good analysts, so I was just surprised to see that. Anyways, that's just a side note.
No, yeah, women snowboarding, I feel it's such an exciting sport, and it's really cool that it's, well, like, I don't know how equal it is, but like we see both genders in it, so that's pretty cool.
I think it's good that they have, I think the reason it seems equal, I should say, is that they have like men's slopestyle and women's slopestyle, and men's big air and women's big air, instead of like obviously the NHL is like the NHL and then kind of the NWHL, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they have an event for each gender, and it's
really
set,
cool.
and they have, you know, the full 16 competitors, whatever.
Yeah.
I found a commercial when I was doing my research for today, not totally related, but it's from the German Women's World Cup team, like the soccer team.
Oh, I think I saw that too.
So funny because the whole time, basically the commercial is like, do you know my name? How about mine? No, I bet you didn't. They're saying like we play for a nation that doesn't even know our names when they've won many, many times. So I'll just read the caption for it. So Germany's squad announcement video for the Women's World Cup, which just happened this past summer, has garnered huge praise online for its strong message of female empowerment and a push for equality. The video, made by sponsor Commerzbank, which I would assume is a bank in Germany, they partnered with the national team, and it features the squad and their manager Martina Voss Tecklenburg, and it addresses the abuse that they have faced in the women's game. Germany, who have lifted the World Cup trophy twice and are second in FIFA's rankings, are among the favorites going into the tournament in France. And I just thought that was a really kind of, they're basically calling out soccer fans for like, you don't even know our names. It is. It totally is.
Passive aggressive, but I love it.
Yeah. And I feel like Germany is always a pretty big team, and whether it's like men's or women's World Cup for FIFA. So I was kind of surprised that, you know, they were brave enough to do that. I found another one. I'm just going to pull it up on my phone quickly. But this one was for Hulu, and I just loved the way they made fun of basically everyone for not knowing how much women get paid in soccer. So I'm going to play it right now. It should work.
Nice one, Mallory.
What's this? Oh, it's their new goal celebration.
They're calling it the Hulu Has Live Sports. You got your standard issue couch. Megan is the ottoman, and they are supposed to be the TV. Nice flat screen, ladies.
And how much is Hulu paying him for this?
So I just thought that was really funny that they were making fun of the fact that Hulu paid them more than they get paid at their own job to film that commercial.
And it's not completely evident in the commercial. Like it takes like a little bit more digging after that, but like good for them to actually do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really different. That commercial, I feel like, as you said, like Nike Adidas does like kind of a same type of theme for their commercials, and this one was really different, and they had like they really approached it from a different angle, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And I feel like Hulu obviously is already in the streaming business, but they're still kind of just getting into it. So I think that's really awesome that they're already approaching it with female sports instead of just going straight to like male soccer or whatever, right? So I just thought that was a good one too.
Which you would also think like the male sports would be more of an attraction for them.
Yeah.
And that was one thing.
That's what I was just
that
gonna say.
impressed
Like,
me.
a lot of, obviously, like we've talked about it before, and we're not really out of the phase where people are hating on female sports or thinking they're not real sports or whatever it may be. So to take that approach, I think like based on their audience, it could be risky, but
Yeah.
like I like it.
But I also think like I would assume like in 2017 I think it was DAZN paid like I want to say it was like $1 billion for soccer, and I would take a random guess that all the women's sports and women's leagues would be a lot easier to pay for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and a little more affordable, and probably not as many people bidding on it on the rights. So
They
you'd
might
think
not
for a
get as
starting
much in
company it would be easier to
return,
get. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, it might
But-
be even like harder to find which ones are being broadcast
That is true.
too.
But honestly, someone should start a women's sports streaming site. I would pay
I
for that.
agree. I would pay for that.
Yeah.
I would just
That'd
have
be
it all in
sick.
one place, right? That's
Yeah.
what my presentation's on tonight for one of our classes. We're talking about like digital companies like DAZN and stuff, and how they're impacting the traditional market. So that's perfect that I found this commercial. But yeah, I just like seeing a small company that's still getting started also supporting females in sport, and I thought that was a funny way to do it. Like you were saying, Elizabeth, it's a little different. But yeah, so like we said at the beginning, Sunday the 8th of March is International Women's Day, and the theme in Canada this year is #BecauseOfYou. So I think what they're aiming to do is celebrate the people that are bringing up young feminists, I guess I could say. So like because of, for example, like my coach, I can play this and blah blah blah, which I thought was a kind of cool theme. Instead of just celebrating like feminism in general, you're kind of celebrating the people that introduced you to it, which is a really big aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's also cool that they have a theme like every year in the first place.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a really great idea. Like it's fun.
Yeah.
It adds something like authentic to it and kind of
Yeah.
a reason to also pay attention to it too, because
Yeah.
it could just pass like any other cool
Yeah.
holiday, like, oh, International Women's Day, happy International Women's Day. But by doing this, they're almost putting a meaning to it. They're kind of like getting more exposure for
Yeah.
it, which I think is like a really smart move.
Yeah.
I feel like this one's kind of special too, because it's not like it's like International Pet Day or whatever, where it's like appreciate your pets, whatever. But like this is actually like goes back to like oppression and like even now still being in the minority, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a little more important than
Yeah.
some of those other international.
National Pancake Day.
Exactly, right? Like what's the point?
Okay, so
I feel like
that was like
this one
Shrove,
actually.
What do you mean?
Shrove Tuesday.
It's my favorite holiday.
I feel like this one actually has like a point to it. you
Yeah.
know?
And I like that. I mean, I'm sure people complain about like every day should be International Women's Day. Like there shouldn't be one single day to celebrate women.
Or like those people that are like,
I
there
hate
should be an
that.
International Men's Day.
No, shut up.
Yeah, like why?
Okay.
Go off, Ella.
I want to say something. In Lithuania, there is a Men's Day that is
What?
celebrated.
For what reason?
Yeah,
What do you
it's
do?
June
Like
14th.
Father's Day?
No,
Oh,
it's
oh.
literally
that's
Men's
not
Day.
Father's
Like
Day.
it's called Men's
It could
Day.
be Father's Day though.
Wasn't Father's Day like June 17th? What the heck? They can't get
They-
2
yeah,
days in 1 month.
they get-
But it's the
2
same,
days.
like, it's if
Yeah.
it falls on, like, a Sunday. Like, it's whatever day
Right.
falls on a
Yeah,
Sunday.
yeah.
So if June 14th is a Sunday, then
That's
it
weird.
would be
Okay, maybe-
Father's Day and Men's Day.
I don't know.
Big
They
boy
have
day.
like both days in
Yeah.
June, but like it all
Do people
started
celebrate
'cause,
it?
like, well, like the same. They don't like throw big things, but
Yeah.
like people, like you know how women get like flowers on Women's Day one Women's Day, so like it's normal to
Yeah.
like get something for like your husband or your son on Men's Day there.
Okay.
So
yeah, fair enough.
yeah, like I think that's also cool. Like I
Yeah.
mean,
It's not like sexist in any way. It's not like, oh, men are
No.
better than
No,
the women.
no.
We're going to
'cause-
celebrate them.
No, because
Yeah.
both like men's and women, like we have both men's and women's day, and I think that's pretty cool because like you can appreciate both genders no matter what.
Yeah,
And,
no, I totally agree.
Yeah, so
just-
I think that's pretty cool.
No, yeah, no, I agree. It's not like there shouldn't be a men's day. I just think the whole point of International Women's Day is like
To kind of
stop
bring-
that oppression and
bring
like give them
light to it,
opportunities,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
also,
like,
like-
not the same for Men's Day, but
I feel
that's
like it's
interesting.
the same with like Pride Month and like how
Yeah,
people want like straight
totally.
Pride Month or whatever. It's like, well, there's no
need for that. Like you
need
don't
for it. Like
yeah.
you're not like
Yeah.
yeah, you can be proud of who you are, but you were never like oppressed or sentenced to death just because of who you were. You know.
Isn't that interesting though? How just across the ocean, things are so different.
You know.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
crazy. I didn't know that.
we don't like. I don't know. I think it's both days are in June. I know that.
Yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
remember the correct date.
Oh, that's funny that you said that too, because I was thinking like,
Yeah.
I like Mother's Day, like, you know, celebrate your mom, like love
Yeah.
you, mom. This is exactly the same. It's just like to more women. It's like you have 8 moms
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
on one day, you know, and like I know for
Yeah.
me, if we're looking at it from a sports angle, like I'm sure all of us would thank a coach or a professor or like someone in sport media or just the girls in our program. Like it's not just one person, which is awesome.
I think
Yeah.
International Women's Day does a good job of not saying, "Oh, pity us," like, "Oh,
Yeah.
oh, poor us."
Yeah.
I feel the vibe I get from International Women's Day and everyone celebrating it or everyone doing something for it, it's more of an optimistic view than it is like, "Oh, you did this to us. Like, look at what we've
Totally.
suffered through." It's more of something looking into the future.
It's more like look what we can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Can do.
So
Aw, I like
positive.
that.
Something a lot of people have probably heard about by now, but NBC, whoa,
What?
NBC Sports, they're gonna have an all-female crew to call and produce the St. Louis Blues and Blackhawks game on NBC in honor of International Women's Day. So I'm just gonna name out the names, so we're not just talking about them. You actually know the names. But Kate Scott is on play-by-play. I'm gonna say this wrong. AJ Mleczko
I
is
like
the
that,
game
yeah.
analyst.
Sounds like a good guess.
Kendall Coyne Schofield is the another game analyst, and then Catherine Tappan, I can't talk right now, is the studio host, and Jennifer Bottrell is the analyst in studio. I just thought that's really awesome, because I feel like in sports there's a lot of times where you see all-female panels and like all-female on air, and even when I was like researching like all-female broadcast crews and stuff, basically every list that came up was like top 10 steamiest like female sports announcers, and I was like,
This is not what we're looking for.
I know. So it's
Never
awesome to
seen
see even the
top
behind the scenes
10
stuff.
Steamiest male sports announcers. What?
I know, it seems weird, but obviously that's like kind of a fundamental. Everyone knows like you know,
It kind of shows you how
male gaze,
important
whatever.
the behind the scenes is and
Yeah.
how, yes, women are being, like, they're getting to these positions where they can be in front of the camera and other women can see them in positions that they may want to be in one day. But the behind the scenes is also so important because you receive maybe like discrimination or whatever when you're trying to get to those roles as well. And one thing that I was kind of questioning was, okay, so it's really great that they're doing an all-female broadcast like crew for International Women's Day, but someone asked me, they were like, do you think it's even right that they're like announcing that? Is it more sexist that they're announcing it, saying, look what we're doing for International Women's Day, whereas just doing it, like just having
Yeah.
it, you know? But I think announcing it is a very important
Yeah.
part because it does show you that behind the scenes is also crucial to
And
that
I would think
equity.
like when I saw the post on Instagram, I think it was there were like 600 comments, and I was like, oh no, here we go. Like all of them were like, who's gonna make the food for like the halftime show and blah blah blah, and I was like, what is going on?
Why does this
I know all
like,
these
level
comments about
still
like
exist?
I mean, half of them are probably sarcastic, but
Yeah,
Still,
no one
though, like,
people
names
joke
them,
about
but you
that.
still don't need to say them.
Still
No.
though, like it's 2020. Like it doesn't really matter if you're serious at this
Yeah.
point. You know what I mean? Like
Even if
still
you
the
don't
fact
mean
that
them,
you're
it still has a
still
difference.
making those jokes, like
and I would think this would, I mean, hopefully, maybe it's just because we're girls, but this would make me want to watch it more.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
And I think I think it was Joe Recupero last year. He was talking about, like, he pulled the girls aside in our TV lab, and he said something about, if you want to produce. If you want to direct. If you want to do whatever you want to do, just say it. And like, if you have to be bossy, don't be afraid of being called bossy or like bitchy or whatever. Like, just do it. Like, put yourself out there. So I think that's really cool to see. like you were saying, even the behind the scenes, like all the producing and TD and stuff like that being done by women, because I feel like those can still be hard roles to get.
Yeah, with Karen, who is our
Right, yeah.
was she was first semester
TV
or
lab? She
no,
was
she was
first year TV lab.
first year TV lab, and she was the first executive producer in Canada for that,
that's pretty
which was
cool.
amazing that we
Karen's a gem.
had her. And
As a professor, yeah.
yeah,
I just wanted to comment on what Natasha said, like how you said whether it's sexist to say that they're announcing it. So, like, I just wanted to comment on that. Like, I can see where you're coming from, because, like, a lot of the times now I feel like, oh, we'll hire you because you're a woman. And I feel like that's sexist. I agree. I don't think, or we'll let you do this because you're a woman, and we
need to show that we're more diverse.
Diversity, yeah. And I really don't like that, because I think people should be hired for their talent and for their ability, not for their gender. So I can see that for sure, like, because they're announcing, oh, we're doing this women's thing to showcase women. But on the other hand, I do think it's a nice gesture for
And they also
International
are
Women's
all
Day.
qualified.
They are, yeah.
They
of
are
course,
all
they're all
very
amazing
good at their job, so
they're amazing, yeah.
Well,
so.
the first episode we did this semester, that's basically what Jen Welter was saying. Like, they basically asked her, can we hire you so that we look good, basically, to have
And
a
she
woman
said, hell
on.
no.
And, yeah. So, yeah, no, that's cool. I'm excited to watch it. I definitely will be watching it. Oops, sorry. Kate Bierness, I know you wanted to talk about her, Elizabeth.
Yes. So she's amazing. Everyone knows her, I'm sure. But everyone knows how amazing she is on air, and like just her performance is great. But something that people might not know is that she founded and hosts each annually something called Her Mark Summit. So it's basically a one-day event aimed at empowering the next generation of Canadian female leaders. So this event happens usually in about July at MLSC. This will be the third year when it will happen, and it's such a great event. There's so much things to do for women, and so much things to learn, and Kate Bierness gives a lot of speeches and to empower women. So I think this is a really great thing that she does, and I guess like some people might not know about it. So last year it was attended by over 200 female high school students from across the whole country. So people went to MLSC throughout Canada just to go to this summit that Kate Bierness founded and hosts. So I think that's pretty great that she puts so much time and effort to support developing women and to support female leaders. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, like you said, developing women. I think that's really cool that she does it with high school students. For two reasons. I feel like high school can be a really less confident time in your life, and seeing someone that word too.
Yes.
But seeing someone like Kate Bierness, who, like you said, everyone knows who she is. So seeing someone like her do that is awesome. And then also just, I mean, I would assume a lot of those high school students want to go into something like sports or sport media for university. So it's also really cool to see her supporting them
and be able
in
to
their
kind of
career
share her
too.
experiences.
Yeah, that's cool.
For sure.
Who doesn't like Kate Bierness?
Yeah, and speaking of brands, Under Armour also sponsored this event.
That?
Yeah, so they decided to sponsor that. So I think that's also kind of connects to our topic with brands. So that was pretty cool.
Good to get those like big names behind something like that not everyone might know about too.
Yeah,
because then like, you know, pretty much everyone knows who Under Armour is. Pretty much everyone knows who Kate Bierness is. So behind both of those, like this has a good opportunity to really grow.
Yeah. So something else I just kind of thought of was with a lot of partnerships with brands, it really bugs me how they think, oh, let's make like a celebratory women's, I don't know, sweatshirt or whatever, and we'll make it pink. And it's like,
my God, yes. I had this written down. I was like, I was really looking for this example because I remember a couple months ago I saw a a product, like a sports product. I don't remember what it was. I know I'm being very vague here, and it said, oh, and we have one for women too, and it was pink. And yes, pink is my favorite color. But like
Not because I'm a girl.
Exactly, not every female
Yeah.
product or whatever that's like aimed towards like getting girls to buy it
Yeah.
should be pink, because I think that's just furthering the stereotypes.
Fueling
Like
it, yeah.
boys are blue, girls are pink, blah blah blah.
But to be fair, have you guys seen like lately, especially in this generation, so many guys wear pink, like literally sweatshirts
It's a trend
and
now.
shoes.
That is true.
It's literally a trend.
So
Yeah.
I don't think it's like a female color anymore, because
That's
I
true.
see so many guys on the street just walking with like pink shoes and sweaters and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think like just the general population does a really good job of being very equal with colors.
And I feel
Do
like
you guys
going
know what
into
I
this
mean?
decade too, like I feel like gender stereotypes are a lot different. Like you have boys wearing nail polish, which nothing against that. Like stuff like that is a lot more open now,
Yeah.
which is good. But I would still say, regardless of like how people act, brands definitely tend to make women's things pink,
Yeah.
which still
It's
bugs
not
me.
like it's
But yeah,
not
I
like
get what you're
we're
saying.
doing that. It's what the brands are doing, and it's what they're kind of promoting. That I think like this is old. Like,
And I'm
come
almost
on.
surprised too. Yeah, like how does no one stop them and think maybe we shouldn't do that?
Do
Yeah.
that, yeah.
No.
Kind of like touching on the like gender stereotypes behind color. This is like from the summer, but like, when I was younger, I had a pink hockey stick and everything. Like I was all into it. But anyways, in the summer, I went up north with some people, and I remember on the way home, we were kind of talking about some stuff, and like favorite color somehow came up,
Yeah.
and I said my favorite color was green, and the one guy that I was with was like green, and I was like, yeah. He's like, but you're a girl. I was like,
What?
okay, it's a color. Like what?
But he could like green, right? That's
Yeah,
fine,
obviously.
totally.
Like I was just kind of like, it's like, what does that have
I know,
to do
how do
with
you gender a
anything?
color?
Like,
Yeah.
And like I literally never wear pink. Like when
Mhm.
I was younger, I loved pink. You wouldn't catch me dead in pink anymore. Like I won't wear it. I don't know why. I just
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I got it out of my system young, I guess. But
Fair enough.
yeah, like I was like, and it's not like I wear bright colors often. Like if I do, it's like greens, blues. Like I never wear.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I wear like pinks and purples.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, why
Yeah.
do you need to say that?
Yeah, it's pink. It's definitely something that is a little disappointing when it comes to how people don't really perceive it anymore as being such a girl's color that much. Like definitely, as you said, like some people still do, but it's when companies think that by
That'll
doing
get
that,
more
like
money.
maybe it's true. Maybe pink things do sell. Maybe that's why they use
Yeah,
it. They're not trying to perpetuate the stereotype or whatever. They're just solely basing on what sells.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
I know,
but-
like for the younger girls too. I see a lot of like young girls with like in
Yeah,
hockey
definitely.
specifically, because that's what I'm surrounded with, and like pink helmets, pink sticks, pink tape, pink gloves, like whatever it may be. But
I think it's not wrong for kids, because kids love that. Like
kids love
yeah,
it.
go
Kids
for
love
whatever
being
color you
vibrant.
want.
Yeah,
when
no.
I was a kid, I only ate. When I was like really little, I only ate pink ice cream. I would refuse to eat any
I love
other
strawberry ice cream.
any other color of ice cream.
cute.
No, yeah, like I feel like
But-
when you're a kid, it's normal. But like I personally, I don't think I've ever seen someone older than the age of like 7 wearing a pink helmet or using.
But the
a-
difference is kids just go by what other people teach them,
yeah.
and once you get to like an older age, it's more
You
about
can
like
kinda
what
pick
you
for
actually like.
yourself,
And that's
yeah.
why when that guy said you can't like green, it's like, okay, dude, you should have grown out of that 10
yeah,
years ago.
that
Like,
ball- I was like, are you kidding me?
yeah.
One thing I think would be really interesting is to kind of switch the stereotype around and say, I am going to wear pink because it is a girl color, apparently, and I'm proud of being a girl. Like, I'm
Yeah.
proud of wearing pink. I think it would be really cool to, like, switch that stereotype around. And then, of course, like, guys could jump in and be like, yeah, I'm proud of wearing
Yeah.
pink, too. I don't know. I don't know how you would do
I don't
anything with
know.
that.
I
but-
think also though it's not only women's stuff that's sponsored and pink and everything. Like if you think of like Drink the Pink, like BioSteel, like that's not
yeah.
a female product. Like tons of male hockey players have done stuff with them,
I also,
and they embrace it. It's not like
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Like I agree with that. Like I feel like color of your clothes is like. I want to say it's such a minuscule thing
Yeah.
that I don't know. Like
Yeah.
just wear whatever you want. Just like guys wear pink, girls wear pink. Like I don't think it's a thing to stress about. Just like I don't think it should be turned into something
bigger than what it is.
Obviously,
Yeah.
some people's brains still work that way, though.
Yeah.
And for absolutely no reason at all.
Now that I'm thinking about it, actually, when I was competing in figure skating, I was not the biggest fan of the dresses and doing all the makeup and stuff. So I used to just wear, it was like a brown skirt, and I think the bodysuit was like dark purple. And I actually had one of the other girls, I think I was competing against her, and she was kind of saying, like, why are you wearing such a, like, not girly outfit? Like, that doesn't match. And I was like, this is what I feel comfortable in for competing. Like, it was so weird. I mean, that was also 6 years ago, so I'm sure they've grown up. But
Yeah.
but uniforms, I think we did an episode of this last season as well, talking about
uniforms, yeah. And
That was a kind of
cat suit.
hot
yeah.
one. That one was spicy.
If we're gonna talk about like jerseys and uniforms and stuff, I just want to touch on the fact that I get some people may like them, but I hate when the NHL makes like pink and sparkly jerseys.
Yeah.
Oh, for girls?
Yeah.
I have a pink Canucks jersey. I mean, I think it's for a baby, but
See, again, I feel like they do that a lot more for like the younger girls.
yeah.
But
I have seen like full size ones though, and I'm like, I would
Oh,
yeah.
never in
Like-
a million years.
No, like when I worked at the J shop, like there was so many pink jerseys and pink everything, pink shirts. Like we just had a section that was for women. It was like all glitter,
no.
pink, everything. And a lot of women love that, but some women would come up to me and they're like, "Where can I get just a simple women's Blue Jay shirt?" And I'm like,
I'm sorry.
well, we only have men's for that. So
Oh.
yeah, but it was like people have different opinions. Some
Yeah.
people love it, some people hate
Well,
it.
also with that, the women's hockey jerseys, when I got my Leafs jersey in like 2015 or 16, I got the women's one just because I thought that's what I wanted at the time. But it is so fitted around the waist,
Yeah.
and it does not look good. Like, I don't get why
That's
it's
not what a
shorter,
hockey
it's
jersey
fitted. I know, I
is,
just
yeah.
I
want a
always
plain
get the
hockey
men's
jersey.
ones. Like I went to buy
Yeah.
I didn't go to buy it, but like I was looking at them, and literally like the extra large women's jersey is the one that fit me, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not big. Like there's no way I should be an extra large. Then I go to the men's, and like the small is long on me.
Mhm.
Like the small is
It's
longer
weird
than
how
the women's extra
different
large.
sizing
I'm like,
is.
this
Yeah.
the
ridiculous.
different standards that they kind of set.
Yeah.
I remember one year my parents got me like clothes for my birthday too, and they got me like a women's penguin shirt and then like men's like penguins pajama pants, and the shirt was a woman's large and the pants were a youth extra large. So like that just
That's not
there's a
That's
little
not
bit of a
okay.
difference there.
Yikes. Yeah, but I don't know. I always liked my soccer uniforms. The only time I've liked like the women's version of something for sports was the women's shorts for soccer, because the men's shorts, and for some reason every league I've played in for soccer, they only have like size large men's jerseys. So they're ginormous, and then the shorts are like past my knees. So when they came out with like women's shorts, I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
I'll accept this one.
We have to wear skirts for lacrosse, which
True.
I don't necessarily
Yeah,
like,
and for
but
field
like,
hockey. And
yeah, like I don't necessarily like it, but like I mean, when you're running, you don't really notice because like you obviously wear shorts underneath, right? So like you don't really notice, and like it is flexible and like it looks good. So, I mean, it's not terrible, but like
Yeah.
I just don't like skirts.
We're not opposed to all the women's alternatives,
No.
Yeah.
but
Why do the
I mean,
guys
we're
get
just
to wear
bringing it up in
shorts?
we're just bringing it up
Yeah.
and saying, you know what, why?
Giving you both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lastly, before we end, I guess, so with the Olympic stuff, obviously Kennedy and Elizabeth weren't here. Last week, it was just myself and Natasha and Emma, and we were talking about how the Olympics were basically almost, I don't want to say under consideration because I don't think it was that serious, but they were looking into the future and thinking we might have to postpone the Olympics, and we were talking about how that could be a problem for some of the more mature athletes because this could be their last Olympics to compete. They might be too old in the next 4 years and then not be able to compete again. So hopefully,
Some also out of their prime.
yeah, exactly. So even like we were talking about Christine Sinclair, like she's, I don't want to say on her way out, but she's
way
definitely older than most of the team. So
One thing that I heard from my mom, shout out to mom, she's in Toronto, all the way from BC.
she
She
should have
was
had her on the
saying
show as a
that-
guest.
Oh, I know. No, she's in a meeting.
Oh, fair enough.
Is that they were considering only bringing the athletes to
Oh.
Tokyo and then not having spectators.
That would
But
have
what's the
been
point of that?
really bad.
But then, because then it gives the athletes their chance to compete,
Yeah.
because they like, okay, I'm not going to say it's a right that they have to compete,
No, yeah.
but they've qualified,
for it,
they've
yeah.
worked so hard. And can you imagine being an athlete and saying, oh, you've worked so hard for 4 years, but they're canceled now and you're going to have to wait another 4 years, and
Yeah.
things are going to be completely different because things can change
And like
so
if
much.
they're out of their prime, like what if they don't even qualify in the next 4
Exactly.
years? Like what if, you know, like
Yeah.
they collapse or they get like an injury or something and they don't even get to go back.
Yeah, I think it's a cool option. But then I was also wondering, because aren't like ticket sales and spectators and tourism like a huge part
Huge part
of
of it.
what makes money and like the whole appeal for someone to host the Olympics? You know, like
Exactly.
what are they going to do with that money that they don't get from ticket sales, spectators, touristy
All the money that they're
activities?
spending but not getting back.
I
Yeah.
really don't see that happening at all because, yeah, countries wouldn't host Olympics if it wasn't for all the revenue they gain out of it. Like, there's no point. So I really don't see it happening without spectators, like, from my personal opinion. But, what was I gonna say? Oh, so basically, so we heard the news that Olympics might be canceled due to coronavirus from Dick Pound. And, but a new interview came out on ABC News with the Tokyo Olympic Organizing Committee, and they basically said to ABC News, which is a pretty relevant network, they said that they will continue as planned, and they have never discussed canceling the Olympic Games. So this is good news, because I guess the cancellation speculations were only like from Dick Pound's perspective and from the higher end, but the organizing committee in Tokyo are continuing everything as planned. And when they were asked, what if the coronavirus spreads out? What if it's like really dangerous during the Olympics? They said, we are not giving answers to what if questions, which I think was really strong. Even though this has come out, the final decision of whether the Olympics will happen or not will, according to sources, will come out, could be as late as May, end of May. So yeah, obviously safety of people is number one, and everyone should be safe. And
Wash your hands.
yeah, wash your hands. And the Tokyo Organizing Committee also said they will continue to collaborate with all relevant organizations, which carefully monitor any incidents of the infectious disease. So obviously, this isn't passing through their head.
Yeah.
They're still, they're carefully watching it. So we'll find out. I hope they don't get canceled, but of course it's also, people's health is important.
There's also a crazy list on BBC called Coronavirus, How the Virus Has Impacted Sporting Events Around the World. And it's just a giant list of everything that's been postponed or teams that have been put in quarantine. Serie A games were played behind, or might be played behind, closed doors to contain it. The inaugural Basketball Africa League that was supposed to start on March 13th has been postponed. Like, the list is, I am scrolling.
Yeah.
It's very long, and it's crazy to think that something has, I don't want to say not guaranteed, but obviously no one knows if they're going to get it or not, or if it's even going to come to that area, but they have to postpone it to stay safe. And like you were saying, when you were saying send just the athletes and no fans, like, the reason I was like, whoa, is because I guess that puts them in danger, which
Yeah, that was one thing I was
is
thinking
interesting.
when there was like the news breaking that they were considering canceling the Olympics. I'm like, yeah, do it, because I would rather them cancel the Olympics than all of like the best athletes in the world, like the most driven, aspiring athletes, go there and get sick. Like that would be devastating. I think, as much as, you train for so long and everything to get there, I think it would be even more disappointing if you said, oh, you know what, heck it, let's go. Like, let's continue with this, and then everyone gets sick.
And especially right after flying there, like, I feel like everyone pretty much gets sick when they fly somewhere just because of, being on a plane and stuff. So I would assume they'd have to be there for a while to give themselves, some time to recuperate after flying and stuff.
Yeah.
Which
And
would
they'd
be
also
interesting.
have to consider, like, coming back home afterwards,
Yeah.
like bringing, if one
Yeah.
of them did get sick with the virus, bringing it back home. Like,
I'm sure they would run tests, because what my mom was telling me is that if they only did the athletes and not the spectators, it would be easier to quarantine them, so that they would make sure that if while they were there and when it was time for everyone to leave, they would probably be put in a quarantine and say, okay, you can't leave yet until we all know that you're clean.
well, for sure.
Yeah.
I just think, like, it's definitely a concern and something to think about, you know what I mean? Like, not necessarily something that would happen, but just something to keep in
Keep an eye
mind.
out, yeah.
I really cannot see the Olympics happening without fans, because I feel that's
Yeah.
such a big part.
Yeah.
Like, every event, you just see, like, fans in the bleachers, you see parents, you see everyone. Like, there's so many people who want to watch these athletes, and that's insane. And I really don't see that happening without the fans. But another thing I wanted to kind of point out, as Ella was reading the list, that so many events were getting canceled. The same coronavirus, like, obviously everyone started panicking so much. And an interesting thing was that in rhythmic gymnastics, there was supposed to be a Grand Prix hosted in Germany, and basically Israeli gymnasts said that we won't compete unless you tell that Italian gymnasts can't compete. Yeah, so that was a kind of interesting thing, because, like, they're saying only if you don't let Italian gymnasts compete, only then we will, because obviously the outbreak is crazy in Italy and it's really huge.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Russian gymnasts refuse to compete overall. Like, they're not competing anywhere until the end of April. So yeah.
Interesting.
That's really controversial that they would
Controversial,
actually
yeah.
they would
Yeah.
call them out, because you never know, like, it
Yeah.
could be anywhere, but of course it is more prevalent in Italy right now.
Yeah, but yeah, it's insane. But obviously they're, like, athletes, so they're being tested and closely watched. So I don't know really why they would say, because they get, like, I read about it, they get clinical and medical
totally.
tests, like,
It's
every
very
few weeks.
Covered, yeah.
So it's not, the athletes aren't gonna
Yeah.
bring it there.
I have one sort of female story to end off with on a positive note. So you might have seen this on Instagram, but 76ers legend Allen Iverson called on FaceTime Diamond Johnson, who plays in Philadelphia, for women's basketball, to tell her that she's being invited to play in the 24K showcase at the Iverson Classic on April 22nd. So she's the first female included in this classic, which is the 4th year they've been doing it. Which is awesome. It's the first time in sports history that a woman's been integrated into the men's game at this level, and it features the top-ranked talent, and participants are selected without regard to class, which is cool. And she has 2,741 points and tons of awards, like Gatorade Player of the Year, USA Today PA First Team, like a ton of them. So I just thought that was really awesome. In the video, you can tell she's very touched by the honor. So it's really good to see, like we were talking about at the beginning, men reaching out to women. Do it this week for International Women's Day. Do it every day, just cause. But I thought that was a really good discussion we had. And next week, hopefully, we'll have a full table here. All 5 of us.
Yeah,
I
we
feel like we
miss
haven't
you,
in a
Emma.
while. Yeah. But thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Thank you.